What's up guys, .ti here. Today we're working on the project B7 and we're going to be changing the oil now. I know this is a simple video, it's just how to change your oil. I know a lot of people, they're embarrassed to say they don't know how to change their own oil, so this is just a basic video on how to do it. It's pretty simple. You only need a couple of tools and basically you just need to jack your car up. So we'll walk you through. If you have a car ramp like I do, it's easier for you because you're just gonna go underneath and then do what you gotta do. If not, you can either, depending on your car, if you have a jacking point in the middle, you can jack it up from the front diff, I believe, on certain cars, like a Subaru, for example. Or you can just put, you can just use your pinch welds here, lift it up, and then put it on jack stands. In this case, we're just doing the ramps, because it's just easier. So here's what you're gonna need. You're obviously gonna need your oil. Audi recommends 5W40, which is what I'm going, full synthetic. And you're gonna need your oil filter and your oil socket, socket wrench, and your drain. So let's get to it. In most cases, you're gonna need to take off the belly pad or the skid pad, whatever you want to call it. On mine, obviously, it's not here anymore because it's supposed to have plenty of clips down here. So what you want to do is look for your drain plug. Mine is right there. So the next step, what we're gonna do is we're gonna loosen it. Okay, take this off. Okay, we got it loose, but we don't want it too loose until we get the drain pad. Just almost where we want. Right there seems to do the trick. And then just let it do the magic.
That'd be very quick though. This one seems to have a fresh new ring, so I'm guessing the oil has been replaced pretty recent.
Beautiful. Let that sink in. And while that drains, you're gonna want to look for, well, first you're gonna want to keep this in a clean spot. I don't really care for my garage, so I'm just gonna put it right there. There we go. And while that happens, you're gonna want to look for your oil filter. I have no idea where mine is. Oh, there it is. I think. Yep. And then find your correct wrench to take that off.
So what are you doing?
So I'm trying to see if this thing like comes off or if it's actually part of the filter housing. Seems like it is. I don't want to ruin it more. Grip. I use my other gloves. So I was able to loosen up the, here, come here, so they can see. This is what I've been having trouble with. I was able to loosen it up just a little bit. So I'm guessing once it comes out, it's gonna like leak some oil. That's why I want the drain plug. And after that, we're just gonna use the socket to loosen it underneath here. That's good. Okay. So as you can see, this comes out. Then we need to take this guy, shove it in there. I'm just gonna save time and use this guy. Okay.
Loose now. Take this off. Put this aside. And then take the housing.
Yep. There goes the magic. And that's our old filter that we do not need anymore. Let that drain. Give me some napkins, please, so I can put this on them. Behind you, I think. The blue napkin. The butt. Okay, so what you're gonna need to do is clean off the old oil in your filter housing, because we do not like dirty oil. And then what we do is take our old filter, and it should come with a seal or a gasket, whatever you want to call it. So that in there for a second. You also need your oil. So what you do is you have to take the old gasket out.
Take that off.
So now what you do is you get your new oil. Pop it open. And then just put your finger in there and just put a little bit of the new oil in there, just for it not to be dry when you put it in the housing. And then you put it back in. Make sure it's aligned properly, because there's our lines that go in for the gasket. Push it in, make sure everything is good. Make sure this tab is on your side and not the opposite. And then make sure all the oil is drained. And then put your brand new filter. Make sure to push it in because it goes just a little bit far. That's good. So now I put everything back together. And once we put the oil filter, the new one, in there, we have to put the drain plug back. So before we do that, we just clean up any oil that was dripped up. It doesn't really matter, but you know, if you're like me and if you see oil on your driveway and you're like, oh no, my car's leaking oil, but you just forgot to clean it up and it's just dripping like this. It's still dripping for like 10 minutes now. So just clean it up. And then we can plug this boy back in. There we go. So, Once again, just make sure everything is clean. And then you're good to go. So now what you want to do is you get yourself a funnel if you don't want to make a big mess. And you bring your oil. Look up how much oil your car takes. And yeah, make sure to do that before you get your oil so you know how much to buy. So Audi claims that these 2.0 engines need 4.6 liters, which is about 5 quarts. This is 4.73, so I'm just gonna like leave just a little bit and see if I'm low on oil or not. So now close your cap and then start your car for just a couple of seconds to let the oil run through, and then check your oil level. So now we see how much is our oil level. Come on. Clean out the dipstick. Put it back in. Then we're just a little bit low, so I'm just gonna go ahead and put the rest of there in there. Perfect. That's exactly what we need. Make sure it doesn't go over to the max. So that's just right. Now what we need to do is just check if we have any leaks underneath, if we didn't put anything together well, and then just get rid of the old oil. So now the next step is putting the used oil back in here to recycle it, because that's the proper way to do it. I don't want to ruin these gloves, so I'll just use a napkin or two.